Shrek the Halls is a 2007 animated holiday special based around the Shrek characters. And it's mainly about Shrek learning about Christmas and what it is because he never had it as a kid. DreamWorks likes to do this with a lot of their franchises, and these specials don't usually add a lot to the franchise at all. A lot of these are just the characters celebrating Christmas and doing a bunch of Christmas stuff. But Shrek the Halls is different. Even though it's mediocre, it adds so much to the Shrek franchise, and to another iconic character. Nobody noticed, but I did. You can't hide this from me, DreamWorks. Shrek, the character that we all know and love, is actually the Illumination Grinch. They are the same person. Let me describe a character for you. They're completely green, all over the body, not just in the face. They're isolated from society, far from anyone else, and they like their personal space. And they don't like anyone else. They're basically hated by society and misunderstood. They eat raw onions and just genuinely do disgusting things. They never had Christmas as a kid, therefore they never celebrated it. As time passes, they're more accepted by society. You most likely thought I was talking about Shrek, but I also could have been talking about the Grinch because all these things apply to him too. These two are actually the same person. And I think Shrek the Halls proves this even more. Now, for this theory to work, I will have to add a couple of details. But I promise, Shrek is just the Illumination Grinch far in the future. Some of you may be saying,
But Barnabert, if Shrek and the Grinch are the same person, then how do they go from celebrating Christmas for the first time in the Grinch to celebrating Christmas for the first time in Shrek the Halls? And how old is the Grinch if Shrek is supposed to be 30?
All those questions will be answered. Our story starts about 2 years after the Illumination Grinch movie. Since the Grinch is now more acquainted with the Who's, he's going up the mountain and bam, he trips and falls on a rock and hits his head pretty bad. According to Google, this would lead to a concussion, which yeah, it probably would. In Merry Madagascar, which is another DreamWorks holiday special thingy, whatever, Santa is flying and crashes his sleigh and hits his head. And throughout the rest of the special, he acts completely different. He forgets who he is. He forgets who Santa is. So he's stuck with King Julian and he parties and has a bunch of wacky hijinks there. But the most important part is that he forgets everything, which is a pretty big deal. Mount Crumpet is a 3,000 foot tall mountain. Now, yes, I know there are many mountains that are taller than that. I've been on 10,000 foot tall mountains in like Wyoming or something. But there are rocks everywhere on mountains. Big rocks, small rocks, everywhere. And the Grinch lives on top of a mountain. So, high chances are, if you go up and down a mountain all the time to visit your friends, family, whatever, chances are pretty high that you would probably hit your head on a rock sometime. And we've seen in another DreamWorks holiday special that if you hit your head, you forget who you are. So the Grinch hitting his head on a rock would change him, possibly forever if it's not fixed. So now, the Grinch's heart shrinks 3 sizes, and he hates Christmas again because he can only remember not celebrating it. He doesn't remember anything from the past few years. He probably won't remember his name or anything, probably just his immense hatred for Christmas. Because the Grinch hated the Who's so much and hated Whoville and living in that area, he moved to a more isolated spot, which is Shrek's Swamp. For this theory to work, the Grinch would have to be in either his 20s or 30s because, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But the Grinch lives in the swamp for many years. And since the Grinch has basically forgotten everything, he forgets his name and changed his name to Shrek. And since he's far away from anything Christmas, he kind of forgets what Christmas is. He's away from society for maybe like 5 to 10 years. Now, if he's 25 or so when he moves to the swamp, he'd be 30 to 35, which is perfect. Now, something you may have noticed about Shrek is that he's bald. He has no hair. And he's a bit fat. And the Grinch here, he does have hair and isn't as fat as Shrek. Thankfully, I have answers to both of those things. Guys, I promised, I looked deep for this video. I want to get the point across that these two are the same person. According to Harley Street Hair Clinic, which I don't know if it's a reliable source or not, but we're just going to assume it is because it's a hair clinic and hair is hair. I don't know. Really just Googled what age hair loss starts, and according to these guys, it starts around 25 to 35. And if the Grinch has been in the swamp for about 10 years or so, 10 to 5 years, that would mean his hair loss would start. Because, well, even though he's not a human, he's shaped like a human and acts like a human. We can assume that he would start hair loss around the same age as a human. So bam, that's where the hair loss comes in, baby. Now, for the weight, we know that this Grinch does emotional eating. It says it in the movie, it was in the trailers, it was like, how much emotional eating have I been doing? Yeah, you get it. And since this Grinch is lonely, because I assume Max would die in these 10 years, I'm sorry, it's a sad fact, but it would happen, animals die. He would be doing a lot of emotional eating, and that would cause him to become the same weight as Shrek, and would cause him to be bald, making him look like Shrek. So, the events of the first two Shrek movies, and whatever this awful fanfiction is, happen, which leads us to Shrek the Halls. I like to think that the events of the first two Shrek movies make Shrek's heart grow 3 times in size, because he is the Grinch all along. He learns how to celebrate Christmas again, he has a fun time with his family, and in the end, the story plays out the same way. So, even though Shrek thinks this is the first time he's celebrating Christmas, it's actually the second or third time, because I said like 1 or 2 years when I was starting off the story, whatever. One lingering question you might have is, how did the Grinch change species? I'm here to say, he didn't at all. He's simply just an ogre that grew to live in cold climates. This could also be a reason why he lost all of his hair when he moved to the swamp, because he didn't need it anymore, because the swamp is nice and warm. And the ears are just hidden in the hair. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this video was pretty goofy, pretty wild, but I just wanted to get a fun holiday video out to you guys before Christmas. This is going out on Christmas Eve. I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and leave a like on this video. But hey, that's just a theory. A Shrek theory. And cut.